Remarriage. When we marry someone, we also enter into a covenant with the Father, and it is to be taken seriously and should not be treated as dating if things don't work out. Because I came across a hell testimony stating that remarriage was a sin or adultery, I felt the need to cover this topic. Bereshit or Genesis 2:24. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Yahuah or Matthew 19:4-9. This is Yahusha speaking. And he answered and said to them, Have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh? So then, they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what Elohim has joined together, let no man separate. They said to him, Why then did Meshach command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? He said to them, Meshach, because the hardness of your hearts permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery. Separation should be avoided as much as possible. Under certain circumstances and abnormal behavior, it may be permissible, but I say again, marriage is to be taken seriously, included screening the person you want to get married to, and should not be treated as dating when you go from one to another to another to another. 1 Corinthians 7:11. Now to the married I command, yet not I, but the master. A wife is not to depart from her husband, but even if she does depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and a husband is not to divorce his wife. Acceptable is when a spouse passes away, you are free to remarry. Another exception is if your spouse cheats on you, and although it is permissible to divorce someone for committing adultery, it's unclear whether or not you are able to remarry. And in addition to the aforementioned, do not intentionally cause your spouse to commit adultery or cheat by withholding sex in your marriage. Sex should not be used as a tool for manipulation, otherwise you are not guiltless. No man gets married to be in a sexless marriage. Sex is a part of what keeps you bound close together with your husband or wife. Maintain each other's sex drive within the realms of your marriage, and that does not include swapping or adding others into your intimacy. Romans 7:1-3. Or do you not know, brethren, for I speak to those who know the law, that the law has dominion over a man as long as he lives. For the woman who has a husband is bound by the law to her husband as long as he lives. But if the husband dies, she is released from the law of her husband. So then, if while her husband lives, she remarries another man, she will be called an adulteress. But if her husband dies, she is free from that law, so that she is not an adulteress, though she has remarried another man. Other scriptural examples include when Abraham's wife Sarah died. Only then did he remarry to Keturah. King Daud was given the wives of Saul, but only after Saul had died. And while there are other examples of men with multiple wives, there is this. A concubine, which did not require a dowry and served mainly for childbearing if a woman was barren or a sexual partner to a man, whereas a wife usually required dowry, and the children she bore were legitimate and could receive an inheritance. Children born to a concubine could only inherit that of their mother, and although she would be considered second in command to the wife, her rights were still acknowledged and not to be diminished. And if there is any contention or confusion to multiple wives, Debarim or Deuteronomy 17:17. Neither shall he multiply wives for himself, lest his heart turn away, nor shall he greatly multiply silver and gold for himself. This was making reference to Yahusha placing a king over themselves, and some of the guidelines to prevent them from becoming corrupt. In certain circumstances, multiple wives were allowed, but not encouraged. It should also be understood that having multiple wives should not be synonymous with having multiple women according to today's standards. If, for example, you had multiple wives, that would not include group intimacy among yourselves. 1 Corinthians 7, 1 and 2. Now concerning the things of which you wrote to me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Throughout the scriptures, the primary scheme of marriage is that one man is married to one woman, and that Yahuah hates divorce. Getting divorced over minuscule issues should be avoided and need to be worked out. Marriage should not serve merely as a means of financial gain, lifestyle change, or social status, all the while knowing that you are not compatible with that person. So it should go without saying, when you get married, you are getting a life partner, something meant to be for the rest of your life, so choose wisely. Lastly, the culture in today's society has made cheating a norm, and although we're not supposed to fornicate, I would suggest that if you cheat in your relationships, you're pretty much practicing adultery if you get married. Habits become patterns, or what we refer to as muscle memory. So what you do now, you will do in your marriage. And as always, let us continue to repent daily, and if not saved, seek Yahusha, whom the world knows as Jesus Christ, become saved, and to you and yours, Shabbat Shalom.